Hello and welcome to this video talking about a special circumstance during the VMware vRA installation, taking care of what if and how do you receive an HTTP 400 bad request error when trying to connect the IaaS box to the vRA appliance. My name is Matthias Eisner. I'm the Director for Cloud Management within the comdivision group. Okay guys, let's get this started. So as we can see, I've already deployed a brand new Windows server for the IaaS piece, and as we all know, we need a vRA appliance to show or to demo what I found out. So I'll give it a name, and we start with an underscore, and we need some storage, and I'll select thin provisioning, which is not suitable for production, but in our case it's pretty fine. We just provide the password so that you have all seen the vRA appliance deployment, and I'll give it a host name. Alright, we need a default gateway, we need a domain name, a search path, and of course the DNS server. We need an IP address and a net mask. Alright, so that's all the stuff we need to deploy the vRA appliance. Alright, here we go. So we deploy the appliance. In the meanwhile, to demo that one, we have the IaaS Windows server. I'll just come up with the console. Here it is. Right, just make sure that everything is working perfectly fine. Just logging into the OS. So it's a brand new 2008 R2. Nothing special with this box. What I'm going to do is, it's already customized. I'm just changing the IP address. So I'll provide a fixed IP address, and I've already created a DNS entry for this box. Right? So that's the IP address I'm going to use. So the gateway, and of course a DNS. Right? So that's the IP address of the DNS server I'm using within this lab kit, and we just make sure that everything is working perfectly fine. I call it like that's the name I've given to this system, and as we can see, it's working perfectly fine. In the backend, we see the deployment of the vRA appliance going on, and I've already configured the host name and the DNS entry for this one as well. So as you can see, I provided during the wizard the IP address ending with the 14, and the DNS server is already resolving the host name. So what's the whole thing about this video? What I found out during a customer installation, we had issues connecting everything together, accessing the deployment wizard, and connect the agent back to the vRA appliance from the IaaS piece, stuff like that. And everything is working perfectly fine. We have NTP in place and all the other stuff. And as you can see, I deployed a brand new vRA appliance, right? As you can see here in the backend, right? So I'm recording on the second screen. So here we go. This is the appliance. So we wait until this one boots perfectly, or until this one boots up. So in parallel, because I use a Linux management box in my lab, because it saves a lot of time. So here we go. Right, so this is my Linux. It's just a basic Linux, and currently I think there is nothing special in here. Let's take a look. Right, so that's different. That's a completely different vRA box. All right, so over here we check exactly the same. Right, we're checking the DNS. Okay, I wasn't able to type correctly, so this lookup is great, and the other one, IS7-10, right? So DNS works perfectly fine. So the issue is sometimes you might use an underscore within the host name. And that's what happened during our installation. So we used an underscore in the host name. And as you can see, you have seen the wizard, and I was providing an underscore for the host name of vRA. So if we go to over here, right, to Google as always, and if we take a closer look to RFC 952, this one is demoing that you're not allowed to use an underscore in the host name, and that's what I went through. It is a little bit weird because the error you see is the following. If you have a brand new appliance like we have, and you just use a browser and oh, I'll just, because not kidding, it's really a brand new one, right? We just switch that one off because it's going to drive us nuts. And if you go to the IP address of the appliance, going to port 5480, it works perfectly fine. I thought I did that, right? So get the login prompt, and you can use the username and password you provide during the login, and that looks pretty cool and awesome, right? But, and that's the issue, and that's probably you might see that error. If you go to the host name of the appliance, right, port, to access the wizard and stuff like this, you get the certificate warning. But if you click to go further, you get an HTTP 400 bed request, and it's a brand new vRA appliance. So this is because of the underscore in the host name. If you connect to this appliance, sorry for that, right? If you connect to this appliance using SSH, because I enabled it, right? You see, it takes pretty long. So it takes some time, right? So we need to provide the password. And what happens over here is the following. If you use the curl -case just to ignore the certificates and go to HTTPS, and you use the IP address of the appliance port 5480, you get a perfect HTTP response. And that's the proof or the test you can do. If you do exactly the same test using the host name with an underscore, right, you get a bad request 400. So there is no need to check if something is wrong within the network or anything else. So it doesn't work, right? So I'm logging out of this one, and this appliance is broken, right? There's, as far as I know, you can't fix it anymore. Probably you can hack into Linux, but it seems that something with the binding within the light HTTP server went perfectly wrong. So what you can do in this case is you just power off that one, right? Just power it off, and we get rid of it, right? Delete from disk, yes. So what I do now is I deploy new OVF, right? I've done it a couple of times, that's perfectly. We use a dash, a hyphen, what is perfectly fine. So we just select some storage, thin provision, again, not good for production environments, right? And we do a brand new deployment, so we need a password, right? Provide the password, ideally the same, so all the time, and you use a dash, and the FQDN, the default gateway, some domain naming. Okay, we need a DNS. Oh, there's a right. We need a DNS, an IP address. I used the same IP address than before. The only thing we need to do in the meanwhile is to fix the DNS entry, but that's also done pretty fast, right? Just log into our DNS server. Right, yeah, here we go. That's the domain, right, where it is. Where it is. Right, here it is. Here we go. So we get rid of that one, right? Get rid of it. Create a new entry with the new name, right? Again, it's the 14, so it's just to prove that you can see that it is a brand new appliance. Okay, it takes some time again, right? And if we do an NS lookup, right here it is the 14, a brand new IP address. And if we take a closer look, so we can close this browser again, right? And we can do it over here. We just need to change this. All right, so we just did a shortcut because there is no need to watch the second deployment of the vRA appliance. So as you can see, it's exactly the same IP address, and we can connect to this one as well. But again, it's a dash instead of an underscore, so we can SSH into this appliance as well, and we do the exact same test. All right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's offending key, so it's two known hosts. So probably might happen. And again, we just used the curl over here with the IP address and the port, right? So we get a perfect response like we have seen before. But if we use the host name right now, you see that we get exactly the same response. And that is the huge difference, because the hyphen, according to the RFC, is a something which is allowed within the host name. So if you now connect to the appliance using the host name, right, and click on the certificate warning, it works perfectly fine. And that's the big difference, guys. It's not something built or tried. It really works like this. And of course, because you need to access this site as well for the agent installer. Right, here it is. So we can download that one, right? Save it in downloads. And the point is, the second, what you might recognize during the HTTP 400 issue, if you, because you have to provide the appliance name over here during the installation. And if you are not using, or if you have issues with the 400 and the name of the host of the vRA appliance host name because of an underscore, if you click load, it takes some time until it shows up the fingerprint, or you might get an error, right? But we use it over here like this with a hyphen, so it works perfectly fine. Otherwise, you might not be able to install the agent. And if you start with the wizard, there is something I've not demoed before, but if you browse through the deployment of IaaS, so we get the time offset over here. I know NTP is recommended and stuff, but what happens is if you have issues with the HTTP 400, above here, right, where my mouse pointer goes back and forth, you get a red error message saying connection between the vRA appliance and the agent is broken. Right, so that's what's happening. Right, I hope I was able to demo some stuff and helping you out when you try to install the vRA appliance and the IaaS box. Right, and if you encounter the HTTP 400 bad request error, right, that's the fix. Check if you have used the correct host name within the vRA appliance. Again, something to reminder, do not use underscore right? Underscore in the host name of the vRA appliance, right? Never ever do that. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Have fun. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching the video about VMware vRA installation, the HTTP 400 bad request error. Probably not installation, but initial setup. I hope it helps, and if you encounter the error, check the vRA appliance host name, and I hope that fixes the issue. Thanks a lot. See you again.